one. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a special video teleconference meeting of the Franklin County Fiscal Court for May 18th, 2022. We will be reviewing and discussing budget, our 2022-23 budget. And we call this work session to order. Susan, the first item on the agenda is review the fiscal year proposed budget, if you would. Susan Lawrenson?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Hello.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't have my sound on.
Okay, we're on item number one, review the fiscal year budget.
Okay, well, the first thing I thought we might address would be the outside agencies, to get those nailed down, because presently the budget has the same amount as last year. I made no change there. I did provide a sheet of the items that have changed, and I've itemized those in the packet. There has been I received a late request from the coroner for an adjustment to the administrative assistant line item. So we have that to incorporate. And then the sheriff's request for $130,000. I wasn't clear if that additional request was being approved as well. So those items would need to be taken into account. So I'm looking for the further adjustments to the budget as currently proposed. And one, the coroner's request, two, the sheriff's request, and obviously the outside agencies. Those are the three line item areas that I have for potential changes until you all start giving me other items.
Okay, well, let's since the sheriff is sitting here in the room,
Yes.
instead of keeping him the whole time, let's go ahead and clarify the two requests from the sheriff. One is for 6 vehicles for roughly 200,000 for the SROs, and the other is 100. Sheriff, I'll let you explain that.
Yeah, the 130 is what we ask for every year for the next year's budget for the 4 vehicles. I just was hopeful we'd have them in there for the road deputies, because the 6 electric cars, as you know, are going to the school. So that was the additional request. Y'all know about fuel prices and what taking 6 vehicles out of our fleet could do for gas money. So that'd be a good thing. And then, of course, next year we're looking to do like we always do and keep our fleet up. We've done a really good job. We all know how bad the fleet was when I started. So I just got to keep pressing so we keep it in the shape that it's in and not skip a year.
I have a question for you, Sheriff. Have you gotten the cars that were in the budget from last year?
Yes, 2 vehicles.
So that was 2.
Yeah, I remember we started out at 130 and we ended up with 87, I believe, thousand. So we got 2 cars from last year. Yeah.
And they have come in and everything.
Yes.
Okay. Is it hard to get the cars?
Not right now. I've talked to the dealer, and the electric vehicles will be here in June, and then there are some Tahoes that we should be able to get if that's funded. Yes, I know.
I have verified that these electric vehicles are in fact on the state price contract. And in the packet, I included just some snippets of that information just for your reference. I didn't include the entire contract because it's kind of lengthy, but they are listed on there.
All right, discussion. Anybody want to ask any questions? Have any discussion? Squire Muller?
Thank you, Judge. Hope everybody's doing well. Sheriff, let me ask you, you had said something about when we were talking about charging the vehicles that the people driving the vehicles home are going to charge them out their house. Have you all nailed down how that's going to work? We are going to have to reimburse them for that. their electric bill? Or I know we talked a little bit about in the future, maybe some solar, but just for right now, is there a plan how they're going to be reimbursed for charging?
Well, I think that if you get to take a car home and you get a free take-home car, nobody's gonna want us to pay it back, because you're talking once a week is probably all they're gonna have to charge. So if they don't want to charge without being reimbursed, they can just leave it at the office. They would lose their take-home car, in my opinion, and we'll just charge it at the office.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? As far as Sebastian?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Well, we could until you shut off.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
there you
trying to make sure it's on. There's something in the air today. My eyes are swollen and my throat is full of something. I believe I asked this question last time, Sheriff, but I just want to make sure I understood the answer to this. Will the at-home charging stations, I guess that's what they're called, will they require some kind of upfitting, or will they be able to charge off of the household current, the 110, or do they have to have a different type of plug?
The cars come with the standard plug, like they can use, like you would charge like a diesel truck, in the winter.
Right.
And if we end up not getting the charging station at the office, we may look at putting in the plugs at their house, but then you get into, it's kind of like if you have a K-9 officer or deputy, when you give them a kennel and concrete, if they leave or whatever happens, you lose that, you don't get it back. So I'm trying to avoid having to go into electric panels and put in special plugs if we can. Ideally, we'll be able to charge at the office with the rapid charger. And you're talking, if I could get a stage 3 one, you're talking 30 minutes and they can charge once or twice a week, whatever they need.
But that costs $300,000.
Well, when we met, I know that Squire Mueller mentioned that, but when we met the plant board, he thinks that we could probably do one of them for like 40 grand for what we need. It wouldn't have all the bells and whistles, but it would charge our fleet. We shall see.
And who would pay that 40 grand?
Well, we're looking at like grant opportunities and things, because it could potentially be a safe charging location for other people too.
Yeah, you'd want that. Okay. Now, there are monies out in the governor's press conference last week. He was talking about there are going to be monies available for charging stations across the state.
It sounds like they're gonna make those decisions sometime around July, it seems. So, once we decide on these cars and we'll have them and upfit them, hopefully all this will come together at the same time. We'll figure out how to get a good charging station at the office.
All right, any other questions? Now, Susan, you understand that he's asking for an early appropriation for cars.
Well, the action today would be to clarify that you want to use the ARPA funds for this purchase in the current fiscal year. So it would be $200,000 from our ARPA contingency to the specific line item for the sheriff's law enforcement vehicles for fiscal year 22. That's in the form of a budget transfer.
Well, then there's also the secondary part
And
of
the secondary issue is to incorporate a request for law enforcement vehicles of $130,000 to increase the fiscal year 2023 budget by $130,000.
Right. Does there need to be a motion and
Not right now.
all right now? This be part of it.
It will be on.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on that matter? Okay, no other discussion, okay. Susan, what did you say the second one? Oh, we would just go into the
130 will go into our new final budget document that hopefully we nail down this afternoon.
okay. All right, so we need to go into the organizations.
That would be a good next step, yes.
All right, Sheriff, that concludes your presentation.
Thank you.
We'll let you know if something else comes up, okay? All right. Thank you for being here.
Sherry? I might have a question.
Oh, Squire Sebastian?
Thank you, Judge. Can I, Madam Treasurer, with this addition to the proposed budget or the budget that is under discussion, where does that put our living budget going forward? Is it about 28.5? I think it's going to be above between the 27 to 28. I'm just trying to get a handle on where our living budget looks like it's trending.
Andrew, can you bring the chart up, please? That, if you have that.
A few high points of that may be helpful for everyone, because obviously we're trying to set policy going forward, and once something's in a budget, it's difficult to make changes with that. So, oh wow, that's tiny.
Andrew, do you have the chart up? Yes, you do. We did this last year when we finalized our budget to show the distribution in a different way of our appropriations. And you can see that the red and the, whatever you call it, peach color are really special projects. So there is 10, 20, I think when we take out the capital projects, equipment and paving, and take out the federal restricted money, we get down to a $29 million budget. Esquire Sebastian is what we're looking at. Now, part of that increase over last year, we also have some new one-time things. I did incorporate into the clerk's fund that pass through of the document storage program, that it'll have revenue in and expenditure out of $150,000, and then over $200,000 for the comprehensive plan is included in the budget, so that inflates it as well. But yes, we're looking at around a $29 million budget once you strip out the special projects, capital projects, and investments like that. Okay.
So at that point, that elevates our living budget, and that's to the $29 million range, and that's without any social agency discussion at this point, right? And are there other discussion points again outside of the vehicles that we have just talked about?
The coroner included the administrative assistant for a minimum. I know we discussed at length in the court meeting on Wednesday about those minimums, but we did not have a specific request at that time on Wednesday evening. So we got his request for that administrative assistant position to have the minimum with the 2% on it. So that's an additional, I think it was about $4,800 addition to his budget for the provision of that particular line item change. But no, I don't have any other, I haven't received any other requests for any other line item changes. Okay. So we want to look at social agencies. And again, as a part of the discussion, we would want to clarify which fund we're going to take them out of. If we're going to leave the social agencies as they are in the general fund budget, the same as last year, and or if you're going to make special appropriations through ARPA funds, we would want to identify that they are going to be coming out of that fund as well. So we can put the spreadsheet up on the screen for discussion purposes if you like, and go through them that way.
Yeah,
and
let's do that.
and
Go
Ann-
ahead, let's do that.
so
And
shall I
Ann's
share my screen, or do you have those, Andrew? I'll share mine if you like.
I would prefer you do it.
Okay, well, okay, so share my screen. Did you give me access?
Yes, you have access.
Okay. So where do you want to start?
Let's just start at the top. Access Frankfurt Incorporated Soup Kitchen Shelter. And do you want to go down to, you want to do it or you want me to do it?
I can just be available for any questions. I'd
Right.
sent out some additional information to everyone last week. So if you want to go through it, I'm available to answer any questions.
All right, well, I remember one of the questions being something concerning the CARES Coalition. You want to give that answer?
Yes, and I did forward that out, but just for everyone, I'll repeat that. I received information back from Blair Hecker with City of Frankfurt, who's been working with the CARES Coalition. The coalition is still kind of in a formative phase. They have a consultant they'll be working with for 6 months, trying to get their 501c3 designation. They don't expect any funding to come out of the coalition during this budget year. So they said all the agencies are still seeking individual funding on their own. And then probably the 23-24 budget year, they'll be coming to both local governments with some requests.
Okay, dope. All right, first one on there is the Access Frankfurt Soup Kitchen Shelter. Last year, they requested 13, got 13, and this year they're requesting 20. What say you all? And if you would speak up.
I'll say so, hold the line on it.
Hold the line. Anybody else say hold the line?
That's fine with me.
Squire Tracy says hold the line. Anybody else say hold the line or raise? We got 2 for hold the lines. Anybody want anything else?
I say hold the line too.
All right, there's 3, hold the lines. Anybody else? Is there a 4th to hold the line?
Judge, I can be with the hold the line, but I think there are maybe a couple of agencies that we may want to look at based on the information that our grant administrator received.
We'll just
We're
go on
doing one at a
the soup
time.
kitchen right now.
We're doing one at a time. Soup Kitchen. Hold the
Oh, I'm
line.
sorry. Okay,
The
I
line is
apologize.
13. Everybody okay? Hold the line at 13. 4 on that one. Okay. Hold the line at 13. 13. Next one, Capital City Museum. They've never asked for monies before, and they're asking for $13,770 for the county to be part of the museum. Right now, the city funds it completely, as well as some donors. Squire Muller?
Thank you, Judge. Hey, Ann, could I ask you a question on this one? It looks to me, and thank you very, very much for the information you provided to us. It's helpful. The Capital City Museum, is this a one-time ask?
I'm not sure whether they'd come back for other reasons, but this particular request has to do with a countywide survey and citizen engagement to try and build more of county history to include in the museum.
Okay, thank you.
In that case, I would be for giving them the money for one time.
Anybody else on the,
I'm good.
okay, anybody else? Good? Anybody else good? Look like we got enough to do that, so that's gonna be 13,000.
Our history is important.
I agree. I think that the county should be part of the museum, whether it's.
13.7.
Yeah, I'm good with it too.
Thank you, Squire. Next is downtown Frankfurt. they requested it last year 15 and got this year and got 0. This year they're requesting 10. Anybody? Anybody?
I'm fine with holding the line.
Holding the line at 0?
Yeah, why did we hold the line last year? Or go take it at 0?
I
Is that a
think-
new request?
I think
It
couple
wasn't a
of-
new request,
A
no.
couple of magistrates thought there was a duplication of y'all. Do the magistrates that took the money last year feel like you, the same thing? If there was a reason for doing it or not doing it last year?
I think we were concerned about the leadership.
I didn't remember that, but I don't know.
No,
Scarmuller, I think you said something last year. Do you think we ought to do it or not?
I don't remember, Judge. I mean, I could maybe go 5,000. I'd still like to see exactly, what they're doing other than the concert series, that I think is a pretty regular thing. So, I'd be okay to, maybe do 5,000 just until we can, I know she's out on leave right now, until we can maybe talk to her and see where they're heading.
I could do 5.
All right, we got 2 for 5. I'll go 5. That's 3. Anybody else for 5?
Okay,
All right, we got 5. All right, everybody, we're moving on. Way to go. Franklin County Tourism. They got 5. They asked for 5, 5.
Leave it the same.
Everybody okay with keeping it the same?
Yep,
All right. Unless you speak up, I'm moving on. Franklin County Women's Shelter. Now, this is a big change. They asked for 20, they got 13, they want 50.
wow.
I did include an email from the women's shelter in the information I sent out. And they referenced the fact that they were aware that ARPA funds could be used for the purpose of addressing homelessness. And we're hoping that the court would possibly consider that. They're working on, I think, some renovations on some of their facilities. So I believe that's the reason for this ask.
this be a one-time increase though?
That would be hard to say. I think it depends on their future plans and whether or not they are a member of CARES, and so it'd be whether or not their funding works out differently in upcoming years.
Letter does say a one-time
Yeah.
ask.
The letter states it's a one-time ask.
But could we separate it, give them the 13 as usual, as we did last year, and then the balance towards the renovations? Or do we need to do it all together?
Let me ask you this in a separate question, but related to what Sparmore just said. And just food for thought, could we pull some of these that are big ticket, big items that are kind of unusual requests? Could we put those in an ARPA, pay for them by ARPA, through ARPA?
Yes, I believe we could,
Okay.
depending on the agency and the purpose. But certainly anything addressing feeding citizens or homelessness would be an eligible activity.
But that needs to be noted because that ARPA money is going to run out one day and they're still going to be asking for the same amount if we don't note it.
Well, let me just remind you, Court, that we have ARPA expenditures. They will be shown in the ARPA fund. So they will not be shown in the general fund. They will be shown as ARPA fund expenditures. So we will have the outside agency grants category within the ARPA fund. So basically it'd be the same line item number, except it will show in Fund 84. So, and that's true for all ARPA expenditures. Same thing with the the law enforcement vehicles. So those
So-
one times are trackable.
Okay.
Well, from,
That's why I asked Susan, do we need to separate it out or
Well,
not?
if you decide to fund it differently, yes, we'll have a portion of it that'll go to this general fund appropriation and a portion of it that might go through the ARPA fund appropriation.
I think that would be a better way, because if not, next year it's gonna show a zero.
and would advocate for that as well. Based on what the treasurer has shared with us, so that we do show continuing support for the women's shelter. But as they have noted, this is a one-time request based on the new facility that they're opening as a transitional location for women who are coming out of the shelter and before they transition back into, typical society. And I think several of us were at their recent open house and heard this very information at that point. So I would be, based on what I understand from talking to several of their members, I would be like Squire Moore.
From 13 and 37.
The line. Yes, sir.
So 13 out of the budget and 37 out of ARPA.
That's my idea, yes. If not, it's gonna show the new court next year that we didn't give anything unless you go to the ARPA, and I would like to separate it out like that. If it's
Sounds like
okay.
a good idea.
All right, so Lambert, you okay with that? As far as Sebastian likes that, Marty likes that, I'll go with it as well. So what we're gonna do here is fund them 13 out of the budget, Susan, and 37 out of ARPA, for a total of 50.
Okey doke, got it.
Okay. The next one is the Franklin County Youth Services Center. They got, last year they requested 6, they got 5, this year they requested 7. So Squire Blackburn, you've been a big proponent of these funds.
You've been reading my mind. I am. They do a tremendous amount of good. I'm okay with going 6.
Split the difference, split. Anybody else okay with 6
I'm good, Judge.
or
Yes,
6?
Yes,
Marty,
sir.
6, okay,
I'm
looks like we
good.
got 6 in there. There you go, 6,000. Imagination Library of Frankfurt. I'm looking that one up to try to find what that.
This is a new organization. They do have their nonprofit status and are in good standing. This is an offshoot of the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, and it provides books to children.
Yeah. See, Squire Blackburn and I got a picture of ourselves with Dolly Parton, didn't we, Squire Blackburn?
Yes, sir. And
Oh,
I
no.
personally know the folks that make up the board of this. And when they created this in Frankfurt, they raised money themselves before they even started to make sure they were solvent moving forward. They're self-starters. It's a wonderful program. I see as an educator, and I know you've seen it, and all the educators, parents that read to their kids, they just do so much better in school, and having these books when they're young makes a tremendous difference on their education. And it's a pretty small investment, I think. And it's something that would take time, it would take a lot of time to see wouldn't be an immediate benefit. as far as our workforce and stuff, but I think it's something that we really need to do. I'm all for the 2,000 on this one.
Does Dolly, check out and okay each book?
I'm sure she has a
Trust
committee.
Dolly. I
They're all-
trust Dolly.
Hello, Dolly.
Yeah, I be a yes.
All right. Anybody else?
Yes,
Okay. Well, I'll go with it too, if no one else speaks up. All right, let's do it, 2,000. Next is the Josephine Sculpture Park. Asked 10, got 5, wants 10.
well, they're
Yeah.
getting a $250,000 grant this year.
Mhm.
Five's a good number.
Squire Moore says keep it the same as last year, 5. Squire Tracy says 5. Anybody else want to keep it the same?
Yes, hold the line, as you say.
3. 3. Looking for another one?
Well, Judge, I'm sorry, this Squire Sebastian, I would be an advocate actually to split the difference, because during the COVID pandemic, that was an area where a number in our community and other communities could come and actually get outdoors and participate not only in the arts, but also, be out in society. So I would I'd like to see it bumped up a little, but again, that's just me. I'd split the difference at 75.
I
I'll
could
go.
go, I could
I'll
go with
Squire
that.
Sebastian, 75.
All right, Squire Booth, there we go. We got 4, we'll go 75. All right, good job. Next, the King Center, 5, 5, and 5. Everybody okay with giving them 5?
Yes.
All right, moving on. The next is legal aid of the Bluegrass. They asked for 5, got 1, requesting for 5. And you want to say something about that? Is that?
Of course, that's the agency that provides free legal assistance to veterans and, that kind of a program. They do receive a number of federal grants, federal funding. So I think that's why we've typically kept that at a lower amount.
Let's keep it at a lower amount.
Okay. Let's go with that. Keep it at, are we okay keeping it at 1,000 like they got last year?
Yes,
All right, anybody else?
We need to take care of our veterans. I'd say double it to 2,000.
Well, there are monies out there is what I can say.
Yeah,
I'll go 2,000, Squire Moore.
3,000. Now it looks like we got enough for 2,000. 2,000 it is. All right, Mission Frankfurt Clinic. Mission Frankfurt Clinic asked for 20, got 15, wants 20.
15.
yes, 15, I agree.
There's 3.
More. Yes,
All right. Anybody else? Lambert, Scotty. I'll go with 15. I don't want to cut them, for sure.
No, they do good things.
Yeah. So 15 for them. Nursing Home Ombudsman. Nursing Home Ombudsman Agency. They asked for 25, got 1,000, asked for 25 again.
From 25.
hold the line.
1,000.
Yes,
I know that, and there are other agencies that kind of pull up the slack for funding for them, aren't there?
I believe they receive some outside funding. These are, the volunteers that go into our nursing homes and advocate for residents.
Okay. Everybody okay with keeping it at 1,000? Scarborough 125?
I'll go 15, Judge.
I said, keep it at what it was.
Oh, I thought you said.
All right, Squire Muller, you want to go do 1,500? Okay. Anybody else? 1,500?
Yeah, I'll do.
All right, and I'll do 1,500, so there's 1,500. We'll go 1,500. Project graduation, keep it the same. I think that's a couple of schools. Everybody okay with that?
Yes,
All right, keep that the
Oh,
same.
just, excuse me, was the legal aid of the Bluegrass 2,000?
Legal aid of the Bluegrass was
Yes.
2,000, yes.
yes,
Thank
it
you.
was. Yeah.
And project graduation is 1,500. Awesome. Asked for 30, got 28, asking for 30 again. Well, I think Rosin could use it. Sherry, what are your thoughts? You're on that board.
Yeah, thank you, Judge. I'll tell you, based on the type of need that we saw over the last year and a half, at least while I've been on this board, they most certainly could utilize these funds based on additional need in our community and some of the way that different funding structures are at the federal level and other levels that we may not be able to access this time. So, it's just, in my eyes, that additional money from the county will do a lot to assist our citizens here. And it's not going anywhere else. It's staying right here in Franklin County.
I'd like to see them get 30,000 then, because I think you're right. I agree with you, Sherry, that boy, every time we turn around, they're the lead agency in trying to help those that are in need in our community.
I'd go that.
Judge, I'll go 30.
Okay, well, I looks like we've got enough to go 30.
I said
Okay,
28, but that's fine. 30 is fine.
look like we got 4 to go 30. Thank you, though. Salvation Army, good gosh, they requested 50, got 1, now they want 75.
Yeah.
Hey, Judge, can I ask a question?
If you can.
So it says in here in their request we use for rent and utilities. Aren't we already currently, isn't that kind of what Rosin's doing locally?
It is.
Okay, I think last time, if I remember last year, I think the reason we did that was because we weren't sure the money would stay in Franklin County. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's what I remember about this one.
Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. There also is the Bluegrass Community Action Council that provides quite a bit of utility assistance. And that was one of the reasons, if you recall, when Rosin came back to the fiscal court and said we would like to transition some of the funds, since fiscal court had given 2 pots of money to Rosin, to one specifically because so many people are familiar with the Bluegrass Community Action Council and their work with that. So, there are multiple agencies out there. Some carry that banner, for the community. And I think that was the discussion point last time, because there are multiple agencies providing this assistance. Thank you.
You have a request then, Squire? Anybody have a request? Keep it at 1, raise it.
Keep it at 1.
Okay, how about keeping it 1? How about keeping it at 1? Everybody okay with that?
Okay.
Yes,
Okay, well, we're gonna keep it at 1. Not that they're not important, but that there are others that are serving the needs. Save the Grand, 10, everybody okay with keeping them at 10?
Yes.
I
All
thought
right.
we had to because of the paying off their bond or something. Is that not right?
No, that comes from a different pot of monies, the
Oh, okay.
tax, hotel tax. This is for them, they're operational.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the Simon House, we've given them some money. They requested 15, they got 4. Now they're requesting 40.
Wow.
And what is, can you tell us what that request especially?
Yes, they're asking for this would fund partial payment for utilities and maintenance for both of their locations, food and supplies, partial salary costs for director and case manager, and computer costs.
Okay.
Wow.
Then we give them 25,000 earlier in this year, extra like in the fall because of the lateness
Construction
of the
delays, yes. Uh-huh.
construction delays and
Yes,
COVID money or CARES money or ARPA money, something. Okay,
I'd say leave it at 4.
you want to go 5?
I could go 5.
Go 5, yeah, 5's all
All
right.
right, all right, let's go 5. Let's raise it 1,000, go 5, since we have given them some money recently. And are covering them, okay?
I've got 3 people.
Anybody else for 5? Anybody else go with 5? Okay, there you go, there's another 5. All right. Sunshine Center and Family Abuse Services. They requested 11.5, got 10, and now they're requesting 20.
they're trying to get a new location where they can combine their offices and their housing under the same roof to better handle their services. And I believe that's part of the reason for this increase request.
They do a good job. I know. I was on their board for several years.
Would you be okay to increase them to 2,000 to go to,
It's all right with me.
or increase them 2,000?
Increase 2,000, is that what you said?
That's what I'm proposing.
Yeah.
They requested 11.5 last year, they're requesting 20, because they got 10, so it increased the 10 to 12,000.
I'd be okay
Oh.
with
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. An extra
Uh-huh.
2,000 from last year.
Yeah, Squire Moore's okay with it, Squire Booth, you're okay with it?
Yes,
Anybody else? I'll be okay with it, Squire Sebastian. All right, let's go to Sunshine Center, 12,000. Thornhill Education Center, they requested 12, got 8, they need 10.
They were not able to hold their annual fundraisers such as Spellapalooza due to the pandemic. And so that's what they've mentioned as a reason for the increased request.
Okay,
Could we give them some ARPA money?
could we give them $2,000 up, increase it this year to 10 and give 2,000 out of ARPA?
I believe that would probably be okay because they do have some workforce training programs in place, some ESL and GED. So I believe that would be an eligible activity.
All right, is everybody okay with that, going 10?
yes.
2,000, but use 2,000, the 2,000 increase as from ARPA?
12,000.
Yes.
Okay, go to 10 and 2,000 ARPA. All right.
Oh,
Eight and 2, right? You
I
said-
thought we were on the,
Eight in the budget, 2,000 more out of ARPA
Right, yeah.
for a total of 10. Okay, the next would be the Wanda Joyce Robinson. Isn't that right? The Wanda Joyce Robinson, yeah, 6,000.
Yes, now that's the organization that I'm working with them to apply for a Department of Justice grant, which would be 750,000 over 3 years. The thing about that is, Department of Justice makes 6 to 7 awards per year on that grant program, and we won't know anything until the end of September, beginning of October, whether or not they're awarded that grant. They had actually submitted this request prior to asking us to submit a grant application on their behalf. And this was for a part-time person in the schools. That's what this 6,000 was going to be for. So I don't know how the court feels about them, waiting to hear if they get a grant. If you want to go ahead and appropriate any monies for them so they can start the school year with an extra person, that would be the court's, whatever the court desires.
So it'd be used the same way as the other money if they get it, but it just on smaller.
Pretty much, this would be for a part-time person. The grant is much larger and would increase their personnel and programming overall.
Well, so this could be a one-time grant.
Yes, if they're awarded the grant, this could be a one-time ask, at least for 3 years.
I would be okay with 6,000 for them.
Yeah, I'd be okay.
So we got 2 over here.
Okay,
3, 4. All right, we got 6,000 for this one-time ask. All right, the next is yes.
Are we
Art.
saying so ARPA funds for that or the general fund?
We could use ARPA. You think, Ann, would ARPA work in that?
I believe so. This is an at-risk group that they're trying to help out.
All right, so is everybody okay?
Yeah.
Go ARPA, I'm okay with ARPA. All right, looks like
That
ARPA.
way it doesn't short.
We'll do 6,000 ARPA. Susan, the next is a new request from Yes Arts, and they're requesting 25,000. Ann, you want to tell us what that is about?
Yes, they have not begun or working on starting to apply for their own grants. But this request is to help them complete the building, signage and art installations, promotion of exhibitions, hiring a part-time grant writer, and contracting with artists to work with youth and adults and supplies for their programs.
Okay.
10,000.
Squire Booth requests 10. Squire Muller, what do you say?
I think they're doing great things. And you don't know, I mean, I'm assuming, them working with kids and everything, they're gonna come back every year for some, a lot of these are supplies. You haven't talked to anybody there to see their intentions, have you?
I know that they are intending to start applying for grants on their own. And it probably, I would assume that since part of this request is for working on the building, that future requests would be more limited to programming and those kinds of activities and supplies. So yeah, I don't really have an indicator of what their future requests and what they might receive on their own in grant funds.
Okay.
Squire Sebastian?
Yes, thank you. Earlier, during our discussion, we talked about one existing art type organization that we have funded for quite some time, and we funded them at 7,500. I would most certainly feel comfortable doing the same amount for this art organization because of the targeted ends of the community.
I wouldn't want to give them more than we gave the other one.
That's what I'm saying.
Makes sense.
And maybe even lower it to 5,000.
You okay with 75, Squire Sebastian?
Yes.
Okay, Squire Muller says yes.
Well, I'm just curious, man. I think a lot of their ask is for a one-time, the new building they're doing, so I'm trying to compare that to the other one we just did also. So I'm not wanting to cut them short because they have taken on a big thing down there, so. Trying to figure if we split it in a way, you know.
You have, what's your suggestion, Squire Muller?
You know, maybe 5 on our budget and 15 on ARPA to help them with all the building costs. I'm just throwing it out there, so, you know, anyone can jump in.
I think that would be a little less clear eligibility. You know, I know that they do work with some at-risk groups with some of their programs, but it's not limited to that. So that would be a little more murky.
Squire Tracy, you got something to say?
I'm good with 7,500, Judge.
Yeah, I'll go there.
We got 7,500. Squire Muller, can you live with 7,500?
Yeah, I'd like to go a little bit more, but I don't have the votes.
Suggest it, maybe you do, I don't know.
All right.
What do you want?
I'll bump it to 10. How's that?
Okay,
Square Booth was at 10.
Squire Booth was at 10, I think.
I started out at 10, but I will go with 7,500.
I'll go with 10. Anybody else want to go with 10? Anybody else with 10? All right, how many we got for 7,500?
I'll go 75. I don't want to give them more than we gave the other.
All right, Squire Sebastian, you good with that? Squire Booth, yours at 7,500?
Yes,
All right. Well, Squire Tracy, all right, 7,500 it is then. All right, the next one is the flowers. Sure hope we can keep that going.
uh,
All right with everybody?
yes,
Absolutely.
Did
2,500?
they not make a request?
They don't.
They don't?
Mm-mm. It's just something Squire Sebastian works out with them and she gets an invoice from them.
I'm good.
Okay, the next item is invasive species. Did we give that money this year? Steve?
I believe that we did not ever have an organization with a designation to disperse those funds to. If the treasurer's got any new information on that, I'd, be glad for her to speak up on that.
Best of my recollection, we have not dispersed any funds for that purpose.
Okay, well, I would recommend we not put anything in there and then let them come back and ask, and when they get an organization that they can come back and we put 2,500 in, that, like, whatever y'all say.
I'd agree with that.
Squire Tracy says the same thing. So there's 3. Anybody else? Squire Blackburn not. Okay, so we'll cut the 2,500 out and then let them come back and ask at another time. Okay, then now we go down to Bourbon on the Banks.
I believe that's already been approved, and that one and the next one have already been approved by the court.
Has anybody tallied this up?
Well,
It's on the screen right now. You're at 166,270 for the general fund line items, $45,000 for ARPA. And then
okay, we've done Bourbon on the Banks, we've done the Franklin County Fair, we've done 4, right? And then now the next one is KCDC. We funded them at 85.
now, just a moment, let me clarify here. The Bourbon on the Banks, that'll be have we paid, let's see, 15.
Because that'll be for next fiscal year.
Current year, and they want $5,000 for the next fiscal year,
Yes.
not this year. And the fair, was my understanding, we were going to disperse that, or we already did for this year, and then they'll want another 10 for next year, just to be clear, right? This is going forward.
Yes, I
Okay.
recall that.
And the
But I
same
don't-
thing with
They're in here.
Juneteenth celebration events. Is that the same thing there? Is that right?
Yes. That's for the Juneteenth event.
And then there was a military day. Was that supposed to be ongoing, or is that this year or I can't?
It's
remember.
only for this year.
And that's this Memorial Day, I guess, into the month.
No, that is for July. But we probably need to put it in this year's budget because they'll need that money before the end of June, I would think.
Yes, that's what I thought. I heard.
Military Day is another organization, or is it incorporated into one we already have on this list?
It's an event that's not on there, but we've already talked about it at our last meeting. It's for first responders and military families on
Yes,
July the 9th. So they're requesting up to 5,000. So Susan, if you could just put that in there. You could do veterans families event and put 5,000 in, but I guess that would come, that would be in this budget. It'll be in our present budget. Could that be an ARPA expense, Ann?
That would not be a clear eligibility. I would have to check on that one.
Okay,
Because
well,
it's not
5,000.
addressing a need, it's more of an appreciation event. So I'm not sure that would be an ARPA eligible.
Okay, all right. The next one is Humane Society. Susan, how do you recommend doing that?
I'll tell you what we have budgeted, and it's based on the contract plus a CPI adjustment, and I made an estimate for that CPI adjustment. Let's see, the amount that we have in the budget right now is 67,180, which is based on, I think, an 8% increase, I think is what was calculated at. So, but it's by contract.
Okay. I did not hear anything on KCDC. We gave them last year 85. Everybody okay giving them 85 again?
well, certainly not 130,
Well, are you okay with 85?
Yes.
not really,
What do you want to give them, Marty?
nothing.
Okay. Anybody else have thoughts? Lambert and I are okay with 85. We got two with 85. Blackburn's okay. Okay, we got 4 for 85. Let's go ahead. We got 85 then. Let's go. The next one is CASA, the CASA program. And this is what we've been given, Tim. This is we've been given 20,500 for CASA for several years now.
All right,
Everybody okay with that one?
Yes.
All right, the Council on Aging, senior
If I-
citizen.
If I can pass along some information from their director, she wanted me to explain the reason for the increase this year has to do with inflation and the cost of food and feeding all the folks that sign up for meals. She said they've never had to place anybody on a waiting list, and they hope they never do have to. So that's the reason for this increase. And I believe that this would be something that would be partial, if you wanted to increase it because of that reason, that would be an ARPA eligible activity, feeding people,
Okay, how
food
about
insecurity.
70 that we've been given and an additional 10 from ARPA?
Sounds
Yes.
good.
Okay. All right, and by the way, serving on the Bluegrass Ad Board, the this senior citizen center, ours comes up quite often, and it is one of the most used. Meals on Wheels is the largest center in the Bluegrass Egg, which is on one hand pretty good. On the other hand, there was a big need in Franklin County. Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. I sit on this board. And it is, in addition to the things that you have just said, it also is the only senior citizen center that prepares its own meals and then sends out meals not only during the day, but those over the weekend. So it's a food preparation operation rather than buying bulk meals from a vendor and then putting those out there. So there's a lot of labor involved in this. So I guess I have to ask the counselor can I vote on this? Is Counselor Sparks with us?
It's like if Roslyn.
Yes,
you're on the
ma'am.
board,
If,
Roslyn too.
I apologize if you'll repeat that for just a second.
And Judge, the court put me on Rosum, so I
Okay.
feel like that is something that, since I was appointed by the court, that's one thing, but this is something separately. I was sought out by the community to sit on this board. So I just want to make sure that it's, when we're talking about people voting on whether to give money, do I need to abstain from saying anything further other than just talking about and clarifying the program?
Sherry, I don't think so, because as I understand it, you're eligible. It's not money toward you, directed toward you, et cetera. You don't draw any money off of it, that kind of thing. Did you hear me say that?
Yes, I'm sorry, I did.
Okay, I think you would be okay to make an appropriate vote as it may please you. This is not money funding or directly towards you in any fashion.
Squire Muller.
Thank you, Judge. I want to thank Squire Sebastian for all she does out there. I spent a little bit of time out there and they do pretty amazing things. My question is to Ann. Ann, that's a pretty big ask every year. We're constantly about $70,000. And I know they do a tremendous amount of good for our community. Have you looked at any grants with Marshall by any chance?
I included a copy of the senior center's budget with your packet information, so you could see where their money comes from. They do receive some grants, and most of theirs, like a lot of ours, are restricted to certain uses. They are going to be a member of the CARES Coalition, and so I know that additional grants will be applied for through the coalition when it's up and running. So I think that's something we're working on.
Perfect, thank you. And just speaking of that CARES Coalition, do we have any update as far as where that is in the process?
They're working with a consultant right now. They don't have their 501c3 designation as of yet, according to Blair Hecker. I did list currently the Senior Center, the Women and Family Shelter, 2 of the 7 school resource centers, the Salvation Army, Simon House, and the Sunshine Center have all signed up to participate in the coalition. So I think mainly their goals have to do with food insecurity and homelessness. But I know that there's a lot of interest. When I reached out to ask about membership, I know there was a lot of interest from other agencies in finding out if they could participate as well. So I think this next year and their formation will be very important for us to keep an eye on and to see how we can work with our funding, with the funding the coalition's able to come up with, and see how that comes together.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, thank you for putting the sheet together. It definitely helps.
Go ahead, Squire Sebastian.
Thank you. I just wanted to share something with the court based on a question that the Squire Muller just asked in regard to, do they seek grants? The Franklin County Council on Aging has been very aggressive recently in seeking out additional funding opportunities. For example, it has multiple freezers there for food preparation and food storage in order to prepare it. So the Franklin County Council on Aging prepared a grant to the Honorable Order of Kentucky Colonels, just as one example of additional funding that it is seeking outside of state and federal funding in order to purchase a freezer replacement, which the cost of that went up. And if you recall, the center, the Franklin County Council on Aging, then came to fiscal court for a small amount to be able to complete the purchase of this. Because typically the Honorable Order of Kentucky Colonels only awards a maximum of 25,000. And in the case of the Franklin County Council on Aging and the need, you know, they more than doubled that offer that they normally pay because of the level of service that is provided through that center and the tremendous need. So I'm just giving you one example of additional grant opportunities that we as a board have been pursuing outside of normal grant that it typically asks for in order to be more self-sustaining and as it continues to grow the program based on food insecurity. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Again, thanks for all you do out there.
All right, any other questions? I think we got it. That, I believe that's it. Is that right, Susan or Ann?
It looks like it.
Okay, so.
Is that
you want-
55K from ARPA? No, it's,
What'd you get from Susan, can you give us a recap?
Excuse me, the ARPA is 55, yes. 55,000 from ARPA.
The total minus ARPA?
Well, basically $34,770 more, increase in the budget for the general charity line item from what I had budgeted. So 34,770. Last year, we also had Feeding Kentucky for $1,000, and that doesn't appear in this grid, right? On our spreadsheet, but so it was a $1,000 budget difference, but so yes, 34,770 increase in the general fund and $55,000 redistribution in the ARPA fund. That does not increase the overall budget. That's just a redistribution on that one. Okay.
Okay, everybody all right? All right, that concludes that part. Susan, the next part, what do we have to, budget transfer?
Which we've discussed for the sheriff's office.
Okay.
The electric vehicles, that's the
Okay.
current fiscal year.
All right. Is there something else you want to review? Susan, you have this memo. You want to go over that and review the,
I would like to get any other changes the court wants to make, and then you all can talk amongst yourselves and I'll rehash the numbers and the totals, et cetera. So I'm at your direction where you want to go for discussion or changes.
okay, do you want to go over this sheet? That says, number one, the general fund line, professional services increased by 12,000 for ESG. You have that, Susan?
Yes, I do.
Do they have that? Do you want to go over that?
I will if you'd like. Unless there's specific questions, the ESG Energy Monitoring contract, that will be under professional services in the general fund, that allocation. And again, I reflected the increase in the municipal road aid based on the actual estimate from Department of Local Government. That's on the revenue side. And the federal fund was adjusted for that CDBG utility assistance program that they redistributed. The clerk fund, I made a provision for the document storage program that is a pass-through. It'll show receipts and disbursements, but it's supposed to pass through fiscal court. I used the figure in the clerk's budget that's how I came up with that $150,000, but it's 150 in and 150 out. So it's a wash, but yeah, either way, it inflates your overall budget by that amount. And the ARPA fund, I did make a provision for the second grant. We have not yet received that money, but again, it's not it's just a contingency appropriation, which is very broad and not any specific categories except for the ones that you all just identified today. And the capital fund, the Cool Book Emergency Grant, I had not provided for that in the original budget. That's carrying over basically because they're having delays in getting a hold of the equipment they need to get those repairs made. So that will have, we need to provide some sort of carryover for that. So those were the changes that were already incorporated in the document that you have. And I'll proceed with incorporating the ones that we just made. If that's if you're ready to go in that direction for our first reading of the budget document.
Okay, can you put the revised budget document up on the screen? And
I will, I need about maybe 15 or 20 minutes to do that.
Okay, well, I'll ask then the court for a recess until 4:30, and the court will come back on, and then once you present that, if you'll give that to Tamara and have her send that, we should send that out to the court members, and at that time, with it on the screen and on through email with the court members, then we'll have the first reading on the budget. Okay, so it's 4:12 according to our clocks here. At 4:30, we'll come back and you'll
Okay.
review the budget again with those changes that have been added, and then we'll from there, we'll do a first reading. All right, everybody good? Okay, we're in recess then until 4:30.
Everybody froze. I was out there in Vegas and a friend of mine called and said this friend of his in Michigan was trying to buy a blower for a race truck. Wanted to know if I'd go look at it. I said, sure, I'll go look at it. So I called the guy. He gave me the guy's number and I called him. And he said, where are you staying? I told him. He said, can I pick you up tomorrow at 5 p.m.? I said, yeah, we'll be back by then. Went out there and one of the other guys went with me. He said, called. He said, he said, I'm here. I said, I'm down here waiting on you, and told him where I was at. He said, oh, you're at the wrong door. I said, I'll come around there. I'm driving a black Bentley. It pulls up. We get in. It looks like about the size of a Corvette or a Camaro.
All right, here.
Yeah, on the
let's review
freeway.
this. She's gonna bring that. Okay, is everybody here? Let's see, Squire Booth, Squire Muller, Squire Sebastian, then we need, I don't see Squire Tracy. Squire Tracy coming on.
Can they hear us?
Can you guys hear us? Can you all hear us? Okay.
I hear you, Judge.
All right, there's Squire Tracy. Everybody looked at their email and seen the document. Susan, you wanna, okay, we come back from recess. Susan, will you give us your review?
Let me share my screen here. Andrew, can I share my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is the document you have. The changes by line item, we incorporated the a coroner's administrative assistant change in that line item. The on the social agencies, we included by our list. Let me get down here. I had 80 in. I had 80 in on the senior citizens, so I adjusted that back to the 70 and redistributed the other portion to the ARPA fund. And then our outside agency request, that the 166,270 is reflected. This is all in the general fund. And then the other change was within the ARPA fund. If you go down to the ARPA fund, Fund 84, that's on page 10, I think, of your document. Basically, the ARPA fund did not change overall, but it shows $55,000 worth of outside agency funding. And so that lowered that contingency reserve. It just distributed that. This appropriation line item, as you can see, it's unclassified, it's uncategorized. It's available for feeding into specific categories and line items as you all make decisions. And then the sheriff's fund for the law enforcement vehicles, 130,000 was incorporated. So drum roll for Squire Sturgeon, God rest him. So $46,621,201 for the fiscal year 23 proposed budget. And as Squire Sebastian helps us, reminds us continually that this is it is an expanded budget because of federal funds. And I went back and looked at those, the capital projects and equipments and paving and debt service is almost $9 million, which are special investments, you might say, into the county. And then the federal restricted funds, primarily the American Recovery Program, is $9.2 million. When you take those two items out, it's a $28,230,000 budget for our for our operations for fiscal court for this year. So yes, Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer. Can you tell us how the county allocation for the multi-year broadband expansion is budgeted in there? Because didn't we discuss 1 million per year? I'm trying to look on this little screen and I'm
It has
just trying to
not,
make sure
there is no, it is not shown under the ARPA allocation.
Right.
In this particular budget. So it would be in your contingency reserve. So once that program activates, if it activates and you need those funds, you would need to set that line item up within your budget. I have it set up within our within our financial accounting system. There is a line item for it, but it does not have an appropriation associated with it. Because as fiscal court said, there may be other funds that could possibly become available prior to using ARPA.
right.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely keep that on the radar for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't see anything and I thought, well, maybe I missed it somewhere.
No, you are correct. And that is definitely an area that you have to be mindful of, that obligation is there. And unless it's technically associated with ARPA right now, because you don't have any other monies, unless you say, well, you're going to use reserves or until such time as the infrastructure money gets loosened up. So you can make those kinds of assignments, for your funding source at that time, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Other questions or?
Our Mahler's got one. He was first and then Squire Tracy.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Susan, for getting this to us. So just so I understand everything in this budget, so right now for the county employees, we have the 2% COLA, the 3% adjustment per the compensation study, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what about the jail, the county attorney, and the coroner's office and the sheriff? Where are they at? Are they still, do they bring their people all the ways up at once? I just want to make sure I understand where we are.
The jailer's budget within the county budget has the deputies program requests, or the jailer's program requests for funding his staff within the jail fund. And that is at the full request that the jailer made. The coroner's request is included. Specifically, the term salaries were set by fiscal court for 3 officers to assist the coroner. Only 2 of those positions are filled, but it is funded for 3 officers at the term salaries that were set. And then the coroner's administrative assistant specifically was addressed today to get that in line with the group that had the minimums that we were discussed on Wednesday. Those 9, there was an addition of the coroner's administrative assistant to bring that one up to the minimum with the 2% as well. And then the county attorney's requests are included at the funding level that he requested. So all the elected officials' requests, I believe, have been funded at their level that within the fiscal court budget. And again, the fee office budgets stand alone and are separate. Those are separate documents that would be addressed at a later date.
So do you know the exact financial impact all that has on our total budget? I know the judge's office, I think it was 168,000, for that adjustment. Do you know what the other ones add up to?
I think it was, well, I provided this spreadsheet at our last meeting that overall, was it let's see, 170, say 2%. Comp plan adjustments. let's see, let me add these two numbers here. It
I
looks like,
remember 176,000 being,
yes, 176,000, that was for the comp plan adjustments, and it was 159,000 for the 2%. For the 2% adjustments, whatever whatever those two numbers are. Oh, budget variance currently. Well, we can have much more detailed analysis, but yes, the VIP analytics, the comp plan adjustments that we made were about $175,000, and the 2%, including the jail, was about $160,000.
Okay, thank you, Susan.
Yes, sir.
Or Tracy?
Thanks. Quick question, Susan, on one of the general fund narratives, under the county attorney, I don't know if he's still on here or not, but it says, on line item 01-5005-185, it says, and some extra per RS. What's the sum extra? What's the total?
Well, it was a percent, I think it was $5,000 was the difference. The county attorney, let's see, we had, basically the comparison was, what I did was on the variances I did from our current annualized pay. And then I built on that with the comp plan adjustments. I think it was $7,000, and the let's say I'm looking county attorney other wages. So $145,000 is the proposed budget for the county attorney wages. So that $7,000, that lump sum, that wasn't based on a specific percentage. That was basic, like I said, a lump sum. So, and the county attorney would set his officers' salaries according to his direction.
yeah.
Right.
Typically.
I get that, but like with that extra, so what does that make the percentage in regards to the comp plan adjustment? It reflects 3%. So is it above the 3%?
It depends on, I don't know. I don't know specifically. I don't have that information directly in front of me.
Okay.
Printed out, that
I
budget.
didn't know if he was trying to do like the jailer did in regards to the study. Obviously it shows his variance at 4%. So I didn't know if he was trying to request it all at once or what. That's all the reason I'm asking.
No, sir. Here's what I did on those variances, and based on the study that I've got at. Can you hear me okay, Scott?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I went down on the calculations, multiplied by the hours, what the difference, plus what I understood that the court was recommending for all of the other employees, and it was somewhere around $150,000, $150,000 to $155,000. Those would compensate and bring up the existing staff to their appropriate level, which is one, plus the fee that the court, or what I was informed by the court that was going to be applicable to the other employees. And the other matter was there because, again, there'll be adjustments with my successors after my office. And one of the things that, as you know, we only have 3 employees. I put in there, so if they thought for different reasons coming in that they needed a part-time assistant or wanted to fund an additional assistant to assist with county work, that they would have some flexibility in that as well. It was not to bump up above and beyond what the court was considering for all other employees. I tried to keep it exactly consistent with what I was understanding that the court was dealing with all employed staff.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Okay, any other questions, concerns, discussion? Spark Tracy.
I have another question for the county attorney. During one of the presentations in regards to salaries, the park director made reference that he wanted to move his full-time or the older guys up to 10 and was going to leave the younger guys, high school, college at 8. Does that put us out there anywhere in regards to they're doing the same job and they're not making the same pay?
I'd need more information, Scotty, from Charlie about the rationale. That I don't know what rationale he would have. Certainly, and I commend you for identifying that as an eyeball issue. I don't know the reason why he would do that, or the rationale, or the rational basis would be the question.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So, I mean, I just don't know at this point. I don't know what he was talking about doing it and why.
Okay.
All right, anything else? Okay, then the item on the agenda is, this is the first reading of an ordinance relating to the budget for fiscal year 2022, 2023. The vote will be at our June 1st meeting. Huh?
If they're ready to proceed, if y'all are done for a session.
Have to call it to order.
Yeah, because it's an action.
Call the meeting to order then.
Yeah, okay. Squire Sebastian,
Here,
Squire Blackburn. Squire Blackburn,
My apologies, I was muted. Present.
it's okay. Squire Muller,
Present.
Squire Tracy,
Here.
Squire Booth,
Here,
Squire Moore,
Here.
Judge Wells.
Here. So, once again, this is the first reading of an ordinance relating to the budget for I apologize. I'll get this right in a second. The first item on the agenda is authorization to approve the purchase of 6 Chevy Bolt cars from Bachman Chevrolet from the state master agreement for the sheriff's school resource officers. Does it need to be?
So moved.
Second.
No, then next one.
Okay, all right.
Squire Sebastian,
yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Muller,
Excited that the sheriff brought this to us. Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Booth,
yes,
Squire Moore,
Just want to note that these will be paid for with ARPA funds. Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. Next item is authorization to approve budget transfer for fiscal year 2021, 2022.
So moved.
Second,
Squire Sebastian,
yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
yes,
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes. Next item is the first reading of an ordinance relating to the budget for fiscal year 2022, 2023. This vote will be taken at the June 1st meeting. The next item on the agenda is authorization to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
second,
Squire Sebastian.
Yeah.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Booth,
I want to congratulate the judge for having a meeting on time. Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.